Hey guys, and welcome to the YouTube video. Today we are going to go over my new D&D bookshelf, starting with this blue Draculich. So this is one of my favorite minis. It is definitely my favorite dragon mini. I love the detail in the bones. I love that you can see his ribs and the scales that have kind of been torn away from his muscle. It's just a very cool looking mini. Huge fan of this guy. If anybody's interested in this kind of mini, I think this is a WizKids mini. I got it on sale on Amazon for like $60. So overall, not too expensive for a dragon either. This next statue, some people might recognize from a couple of TikTok videos I did, or a picture that I posted onto my Instagram. This is Ida Eggford from Dimension 20 Fantasy High, specifically junior year and sophomore year. I love this statue. Sadly, it did come a little bit broken, but nothing that super glue couldn't fix. The detail is amazing. I love the books that she is standing on. She has like these cool gold tattoos on her arms. The wings are really cool. She's a great character, so I really, as soon as they announced that they were releasing it, I had to jump on it. I love that the felt bottom has the Dimension 20 logo on it. I think that's a really cool touch. Overall, great statue. In the TikTok video, we go a little bit more in depth into it, but this box is also really cool. I do a 360 view of it in the video. The detail in the box is amazing. It shows the compass points library, so that's a really cool detail also. Next, we have this tree guy. So I bought this mini before I knew I wanted to DM for Dungeons and Dragons. We were at a comic book store. I was looking at dice and everything, and then I just fell in love with this guy. I meant to use him for a treant encounter, and then I forgot him at home. So hopefully I'll be able to use him in a game eventually. I might do like a blighted tree or something, because he has all of these mushrooms and stuff growing out of his bark. I do think this is a Pathfinder mini, but it certainly works for Dungeons and Dragons. So next, onto this top shelf, we have a Fomorian mini. I love the Fomorian mini. I've never used it as a Fomorian. I've used this for a troll, an ogre, similar sized things, just never a Fomorian. I don't think I've had a Fomorian in a campaign before. Next, I have this Hydra mini. This is a named Hydra, but I do not know the lore behind this Hydra. So I just use it as a Hydra mini. I think it is really well detailed. You can see the muscles in its back. It's just a really cool mini. Next, I have a brain in a jar that you guys can certainly not see very well. I traded a different mini for this just because I thought this looked so cool. I think my friend Joe had 2 of these. I gave him a mini that I didn't care much about and got myself a brain in a jar. So I'm really excited about that. Speaking of Joe, this is a dragon mini that he printed for me. I love the detail of it. I considered painting it, but I'm not the best painter. I haven't used this in a game yet because I'm a little bit worried about breaking it, but eventually I'll bust it out for like a young dragon, maybe a dragon wormling. Next, I have a lion drake, which I think they call this a lion drake because the tail has a like lion's tail. I think the face looks more like a lynx. I also have not used this guy yet, maybe in a different campaign. I bought this at that same game store just because I loved how it looked. It was really cheap. Last on this row is a Mimic Funko Pop. I think this is the coolest Dungeons and Dragons Funko Pop they have come out with. The Mimic is supposed to be a Minx and Boo pop, but it's a Mimic, obviously. I would love to have a Minx and Boo pop. I kind of fell in love with the character of Minx in Baldur's Gate 3. So eventually I might try to find one. I think that they did release one. I just have not seen it in person. This is one of my favorite Funko Pops. I think they did an amazing job. Behind these minis are some Hero Forge minis that I've bought over the years. I love Hero Forge, especially for player characters. I've used Hero Forge for every PC that I've played and every PC that I've wanted to play. I am not going to go too in depth with them because I think some of these might give away future campaign things. But I do love the Hero Forge. I'm really a big fan of the acrylic 2D minis. The colors pop. The detail is amazing. And they're much cheaper than the colored mini. So I'm a huge Hero Forge guy. I cannot recommend them high enough to people. This middle shelf is full of my books. So to start off, on the right hand side is the Planescape bundle. I am not a huge Planescape fan. I bought these books because I heard great things about the setting. I think it's because I'm not a big fan of sci-fi. When I play a TTRPG, I prefer fantasy, high fantasy, dark fantasy. I'm not a big fan of the sci-fi aspect of it. I do think there's some cool things about Planescape. I think Sigil is really cool. I like the idea of the different planes having like a central location. I think the concept of Planescape is cool. But like I said, I'm just not a big sci-fi guy. Next is Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. This is probably my favorite Dungeons and Dragons book that I own right now for the content. I love this book. I love Ravenloft. I love Shadowfell. I really appreciate that it tells you how to make a domain of dread. I've pulled a lot of inspiration from this. Overall, it's just an amazing book. I highly recommend it. Next is Wild Beyond the Witchlight. This is the first campaign that I ran, so this holds a very dear place in my heart. I changed a lot of stuff in this campaign. I was excited to play a roleplay heavy campaign, but I was not playing with roleplay heavy characters. I made some changes to make it a little bit more dangerous, add some extra elements to it. I might go into that in a different video just to tell everybody what I changed about Wild Beyond the Witchlight, what I loved about it, but I do kind of want some of my players in that video to talk about what they enjoyed about the changes, what they wish we would have kept the same, stuff like that. Next on this shelf is the Dungeon Master's Guide. I think anybody that plans on DMing a campaign of Dungeons and Dragons should own a Dungeon Master's Guide. Just for the simple fact it goes over a lot of rules, it goes over how to create settings and plot hooks. It goes over some things that a lot of people don't use, like factions and everything. I think it's a great book. Next is the Game Master's Book of Non-Player Characters by Ashworth. So I love this book. I love the different things they give you about NPCs and things. There's some really cool magic items in here. I pulled some inspiration for some of my current PCs through here. Ashworth normally does a good job. Speaking of Ashworth, I do have a Game Master's Book of Random Encounters that I haven't been able to get to yet. A friend of mine bought this for me, I think from Five Below. This is a cheaper book. I'm excited for it because it says it has some customizable settings tables. It has story hooks, NPC generators. So I'm excited about this book. I just have not had a chance to dive into it yet. The prized possession on this shelf is this new set of white books that I bought from D&D. So this has Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, Monsters of the Multiverse, and Xanathar's Guide to Everything. The cover art for the book bundle is really cool. It looks amazing. The books themselves look amazing. I'll pull out an example here. This is Tasha's. The cover art is just amazing. I love the look of the white books. I really enjoy the Dungeon Master screen that comes with this. I think it's maybe the best DM screen I've seen from Wizards of the Coast. It's incredibly colorful. The colors just kind of pop. It's a little bit reflective. The artwork is amazing. I kind of want to swap this in to a campaign to use as my Dungeon Master screen, but I am using a leather DM screen that somebody bought from me right now, and I'm having a lot of issues letting that go. Next on the shelf, I have 3 books that I bought as reference books. I have The Complete Fairy Tales of Hans Christian Andersen. I love Hans Christian Andersen. This is a beautiful book. I really enjoy fairy tales, which is why I also have the Brothers Grimm Complete Fairy Tales, which is also a beautiful book. I think they're probably the same book company, those similar looking books, just a different design for the aesthetic of the book series. The Brothers Grimm is maybe some of the best fairy tales, a little bit darker than the common interpretations, but I'm a huge fan of that book. And then The Complete Fiction of H.P. Lovecraft. Amazing book, beautiful cover art. I love that the pages are silver instead of the gold that the other 2 books have. I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan. I love Eldritch Horror. He is one of my favorite authors, so this is a prized possession of mine. I love this book. Also on this shelf is a fake moss plant. I can't grow plants. I can't keep them alive. So I have some fake plants throughout my house. It works really well as a bookend. I like the texture of it. I used to have this beside my desk just to pat the moss every so often. I love it. Last thing on this shelf is this little penguin. So this guy is squishy and he lights up. You can change the colors by tapping on him, brighten him, change to different colors. It will shift. I got this as a Christmas present. I love this little light. It is not bright enough to use for much, but I love the look of it. I'm a huge fan of penguins. They're my favorite animal. So it's a nice thing to keep on this shelf. Going to the last shelf of this bookcase is an eye drake. So this is one of my favorite minis. It's a really cool dragon mini. I got a chance to use this in a session last year, but sadly my characters killed it right away. So I didn't get to use a lot of its cool effects. I think the CR might be too high for what this monster actually is. But I'm a huge fan of the mini. I bought it because I love the aesthetic of all of the eyes. And I didn't read the stat block before I bought it. But it does have a really cool stat block too. It's very similar to a Beholder. I think part of the lore of the Eye Drake is it's a Beholder that wanted to be a dragon or something similar to that. So it's really cool. This is a large version of the miniature for my first character I ever played in D&D, Jeffrey. So this has a special place in my heart since it is what introduced me to the game. I 3D printed this from an STL I got off of Hero Forge. It has gold on the base because he was a very greedy character. His backstory is he was a knight at one point, and he was kicked out of the military for being a little bit too psychotic. He's one of my favorite characters I've played. I did not like him initially because he was just a brute force character, but the role playing got really fun playing a very psychotic character. I would love to go more in depth on some of the player characters that I have played in the past in a different video, just to give a little bit of background on my TTRPG journey. The last mini I have on this bookshelf is a Jabberwock mini from Wild Beyond the Witchlight. I love the Jabberwock. I'm not going to pick up this mini because he falls apart anytime I move him. This is one of my more frustrating minis. I need to just glue the wings in, but I really don't want to. Sadly, this is another monster like the Eye Drake where I didn't really get to use him in campaign. I gave my players an item from Wild Beyond the Witchlight. That is a piece of candy that, if eaten, polymorphs the creature into a butterfly. And somehow they managed to get that piece of candy into the Jabberwock's mouth and completely negated the encounter. So I didn't get to fight them with the Jabberwock. But I'm a huge fan of the dragon. He has a really cool stat block that I wish I had gotten to use. And I hope to get to use him in a later campaign. I really want to do some more tour videos. I would love to go over my displayed collection, maybe my Funko Pop collection. I'm a huge fan of Funko Pops. I really want to go into my dice. I have some really cool dice, especially some that I've set aside for our first podcast campaign whenever that gets off the ground. I am really excited to get some more stuff to add to this shelf. I will definitely update people as I add things. And I'm excited for this to be the background of some of my videos. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this little shelf tour. And until next time, peace.